Hello and welcome to the C Team. This is Mike Curley.
And this is Frank Curley.
And we are talking 2 weeks late about
No, I'm pretty sure it just ended last week.
We're talking 1 week late about
2
E3.
days. Come on.
About E3. And we're doing a great job of it so far.
We're professionals, you can tell.
So there were a few things announced, a lot of things that we already kind of knew were coming. But here's the thing: we're going to talk about the things that kind of stood out to us.
Yeah.
The show, mostly because they're the series that we like to play.
Yeah. If we literally talked about everything, this would be like a 5-hour podcast. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, starting with Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo.
So, what do we got from Nintendo?
First and foremost, a new Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem Three Houses. They finally released a trailer for it. Otherwise, it was just called Fire Emblem Switch for self-evident reasons. Yeah.
Because it's on the DS?
Oh, yeah. They like to switch it up. So Three Houses, they finally released it, released some details about it. And, so one thing that kind of stood out to me is that they show off the grid like usual, and it looks like each character kind of represents a whole like unit of soldiers rather than we just assume there's just one guy there.
So rather than the multiple heroes, it's representing an army basically.
Right. Well, you still have the individual heroes, but it's representing an army. Like say you would have, for example, Ellie would. Have like a whole like group of swordsmen on him.
Him and Elliewood and his bros.
Yes, but it looks like, at least from what we saw of the trailer, they could go into different formations.
Okay, so kind of like a stance system for each unit.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. So you could have like the shield bearers like buckle up.
Yeah.
And get ready to defend and so that sounds like an interesting twist on the formula.
Yeah, and I do like the character design so far. They've learned their lesson from Fates. First of all, with Echoes, which brought the character design to what traditionally looked like. Less stylistic anime-ish, and I'm not saying it's not anime-ish. It's just much more toned down.
It is still Japanese, so.
Well, yeah, but it's not. It's not over the top. Like, for example, in Awakening, you had like this dragon rider who had this big breastplate tied together on a string around her neck and bareback. That's the kind of ridiculous I'm talking about. I'm saying like Axe Woman with
people
like
are dressed sensibly.
Yeah, I'm saying like Fates had this one person who was like, she wields a big axe, wears a bikini, and I think rabbit ears.
So Japanese.
Yes.
Anyway. So what else we got coming from Echoes or from Three Houses?
Three Houses. Let's see. It looks like they're keeping again with the same cinematic style as Echoes, which is more. What do you call that? It's like full 3D, but more the frame rate of an anime.
I don't know that has a name. I think that's just what you described.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that it has a name.
But there is one thing, with the coverage for Three Houses that kind of made me laugh. From a headline from US Gamer, looks more serious than usual. Yeah,
Fire Emblem is already kind of as far as Nintendo goes, a pretty serious series.
Oh yeah, it's like the previous like new installment was Fates, and yes, that's pretty lighthearted. But judging from the rest of the series, it really isn't. Like it's actually a very mature series. Like it set the tone in the first U.S. release by executing a very likable NPC and having her body hang out as a warning.
So kind of like this is kind of make me think of Valkyrie Profile is similar, where it's got like the anime aesthetic, but it's some dour crap.
Oh yeah, like on a bad day, it could be like Game of Thrones, child murder, incest, genocide, and all that fun stuff.
All the stuff you pay HBO to watch.
Yeah. And the only thing that keeps it teen is they don't show any blood. But they still don't skimp out of telling you what's going on.
Yeah. So it's I get what you're saying.
And I think it's important to point out Nintendo as a whole on how quote unquote dark Nintendo can be, because I found among video games they can be like Disney.
Well, I think it depends on the series. Like, Mario doesn't get very dark.
Well, no.
Even the darkest they get is still, like, with a tongue-in-cheek. And, yeah, Mario might have some serious moments, but I would never call Mario dark. Except maybe at some point in the RPG, like the original Mario RPG. But, yeah, it varies from series to series. It's almost like a scale from Mario to Zelda to Metroid. And I would guess I haven't played enough Fire Emblem to place it on that scale, but it's at or above Metroid, I would say.
I'll be honest, subject matter, I'll put above Metroid.
Yeah, because I guess Metroid is still kind of fantastical and sci-fi, whereas there is some fantasy in Fire Emblem. It's kind of nitty-gritty when you get down to it.
Well, I guess what's darker, the alien from, Alien or Genocide?
It depends on if you're talking global scale or personal, because the alien from Alien is H.R. Geiger's nightmares, and he was a screwed up guy to begin with, as far as that goes. Well, so it's I don't know that one is worse than the other as far as storytelling goes, but as far as visuals go, I don't know. I would say Fire Emblem is probably the more mature stories of it.
Yeah.
Although most of the recent Metroid games, actually all the Metroid games, been pretty PG-13. They, it's not shied away from, almost a cosmic horror story in some respects. And probably the biggest, like, finding dead bodies count of the Nintendo series. Although Zelda is like every once in a while. But yeah, I think Mario is like the kids TV show based on the Disney movie. Zelda is the Disney movie.
Yeah, especially when you think of like the Re-Deads.
Metroid is closer to the original grim fairy tale that Disney cleaned up.
Or maybe like Titan AA, animated, but
Yeah, but I was going on the Disney metaphor.
Fair enough.
But so Nintendo can be dark. It can be unexpectedly dark, like with Earthbound and certain parts of like the Subspace Emissary that got really, really bad really quickly.
Yeah.
Keeping on from Nintendo and Subspace Emissary and all that, my favorite reveal, even though everybody knew it was coming, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yes, everyone.
I'm looking forward to it. It's got everybody, plus some new ones. The Squid Girl from Splatoon.
Yeah, we can't think of the name, but you do apologize.
Never played the game.
Yeah.
It's not up my alley. Yeah. And, of course, Ridley.
Holy crap.
Yeah, the Ridley trailer, speaking of H.R. Geiger and Ridley Scott.
Yeah, so we're going to impale Mario and Mega Man.
Yeah, okay, I kind of get, like, okay, Mega Man, you play the QT do off screen when he gets, but like Mario is like a wet squelch. Like Ridley had just crushed his face, and that's kind of dark for Smash Brothers. Definitely the darkest of the Smash Brothers trailers.
Yeah,
and it's always Ridley has kind of. I mean, every other villain in Nintendo, Bowser goes go-karting, plays golf with Mario. Yeah. Ganondorf has a lot of, like, sympathetic motives in certain games, but he's still, like, a humanistic presence. You can kind of see where he's coming from, even when he's being a jerk. Yeah, and, like, King DDD is not even really a bad guy. Yeah. And then there's, like, Ridley, who's straight out of H.R. Ridley Scott's notmares, being, like, he literally ate Samus's parents. That's the backstory.
Yeah, you can at least... I can only think of one other Nintendo villain that's done that. And again, from Fire Emblem. Surprise, surprise.
Ate someone's parents?
Yeah, dragon.
Oh, well, yeah, there you go. Ridley's a space dragon, so it fits.
Yeah, well, it's one of those people who can turn into dragons, so it counts.
But anyway, yeah, it's like a scale of evil that, like, Smash Brothers has always had kind of this feel of, like, friendly sparring matches. And I don't see Ridley in a friendly sparring match. It does not quite fit in my head. And he's also, like, shrunk. I mean, he's supposed to be, like, 30 feet tall, which was a big argument against him being in the game in the first place, because within a series in Smash Brothers, they've kept the scale. There might be, yeah, sure, Olimar is, like, 8 inches tall, if that. Kirby's, like, even shorter. And Pikachu is somewhere between that. But within a series, they've kept consistency in the sizes. So having Samus the one size and Ridley like shrunk down to not be gigantic, it feels weird to me. It's a departure. I might have wanted to see maybe. Actually, I don't know who else you could throw in for Metroid. All the other prominent characters are gigantic or gigantic, weird shaped alien people.
We're dead. I mean, we have the bounty hunters from Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah, you could do that.
But I can't remember them.
I can. There's the ice guy, the robot guy, the shapeshifter. I remember them. I don't remember their names. That was Gore, Rundus. What was the shapeshifter woman? Gendrya.
I'm amazed you remember that.
So am I.
Yeah.
But, okay, so other than Ridley, what I'm kind of hoping to see in Smash Bros. Ultimate is a better single-player mode. So I would like it somewhere between Subspace Emissary and Melee's Adventure mode.
Yeah.
Like, I would, I don't necessarily... Like, I wouldn't mind a story. Like, some kind of, like... Even some, like, excuse beat-em-up story. And, I want levels where I can play around with the characters. But I don't want the big flaw I found in Subspace Emissary was that they told you what characters to use.
Yeah.
And I don't like playing as everybody. Some of them are...
Yeah, like, I personally don't need to play as Lucas. Like,
yeah, I would rather run through, like, a whole game as Link, as, like, a platform game than the bouncing around. Although, at the same time, I would appreciate a story, and I understand that, it's a way to introduce the characters in the story and unlock them in an alternate way. Yeah. But I would kind of want to see more of that, because that was an issue with Brawl in particular, where like you didn't see Sonic till the very last part of Subspace Emissary, and by then there was nothing for him to do on the platform levels that like he's kind of built for.
Yeah, like I think there's something to be said for the progression in fighting games. Yeah, because it is them and roguelikes. Every time you beat the game, something new happens. For a lot of the fighting games back in like especially the PS2 era, where not everything's unlocked and you didn't have like DLC yet on consoles.
Yeah, so you got new things as you played the game over and over.
Yeah, and it's a different way of revealing like the whole story. Like for example, my first Soul Calibur 2 was the first Soul Calibur game I played. And you really weren't told anything about the characters. Like, you weren't given the profile until you beat it as that character. So if you're going in there completely blind, it's actually kind of intriguing. It's just like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he's related to this guy? All right, then, so on and so forth.
You learn as you go, yeah.
Yeah, you learn as you go. And I think that's too quickly written off as a bad thing in fighting games where, like, everyone should be unlocked immediately.
Hmm.
And I guess I can kind of see the argument for having like your favorite character unlocked, but I don't know. I kind of miss that progression.
Yeah, it is kind of like a time gone by thing. Like Melee was a case where we were discovering it, and especially actually the original Smash Brothers. Like who the hell is Ness?
Yeah, that's especially us who didn't have an SNES, and frankly for a lot of SNES owners too. Like that was the typical cult classic where only a few people really appreciated it at the time. Yeah,
or Melee with Roy and Marth. We had no idea who they were, so like discovering them was interesting. We looked them up, and Frank's a Fire Emblem nerd now.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like it's not the game's fault, really. It's not the upcoming Smash Brothers fault. It's just not going to have that anymore.
Yeah. So let's focus on what it does have and could have. They've revealed all the characters that have ever been in a Smash Brothers game, plus Ridley and the Squid Girl. So what I kind of want to see, I do want to see some more third-party characters. I would like to see more from Mega Man, maybe Bass or Proto Man, or maybe like Mega Man X or Zero or something like that. Or we were talking about the Belmonts, preferably Simon Belmont, because what I want is
no.
I want them, and I want Captain N. I want Simon Belmont. I want Mega Man. We got Kid Icarus, and I want Captain N.
That's the sound of the internet howling.
That
at
would
your
be classic.
suggestion.
Smash Brothers is an ode to Nintendo nostalgia, and you do not get as nostalgic. You don't get any more Nintendo nostalgic than Captain N and the Captain N, the Game Master.
Okay. Tell me, do we need Link going, well, excuse me, princess?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
That's the wrong answer. The correct answer is no.
I run this show. It's the right answer. And that
I write this outline.
That wasn't even part of the Captain N show. That was a totally different show.
What I'm saying is the cartoon shows back in the day have made mistakes, and we don't need to repeat them.
I'm not saying they were good shows. I'm saying it's nostalgic, and I think that would be hilarious to throw Captain N in there.
God.
I want to see it. I want to see the green goggled Mega Man.
Nintendo, don't do it.
Nintendo,
please.
Listen to me.
No.
Don't listen to this madman. Listen to me.
Give us a character we actually want.
And then just buy Mega Man from Capcom.
Well, okay, do that.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll do that. But bring Hector. Bring maybe Fire Emblem has enough characters in there, but
you got a lot, especially in the last one.
Well, in all fairness, the series actually does have a lot of main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, well, I think you can make an argument for Lyn.
I kind of want to see.
From...
I would want to see also the Breath of the Wild version of Zelda. Maybe as an alternate of Sheik or as her own character. Either would be cool.
Well, I would like full-on alternate costumes. They kind of touched on in the last one, but...
Yeah, a couple characters got those. But yeah, I would like to see more variety than just changing the colors.
Yeah. So... speaking of Mega Man, Capcom.
Well, I wanted one other thing about that I wanted from Smash Brothers. The custom moves. I like the custom moves, but for God's sake, Nintendo, we only need to unlock one. We don't need to randomly drop the same one we already have 20 times. That doesn't do anything. Just make some normal progression, like you get all of them at the end of All-Star or something like that, so that you can just play as the character you want and get the moves you want, as opposed to having to randomly drop everything. Because that's bullcrap.
Yeah, you know what Metroid needed to unlock the screw attack 5 times.
Yeah, that's
that was pretty stupid.
It's bad design.
Yeah,
right up there with the foot stickers thing.
Oh yeah, those.
So moving on.
So Capcom,
you bastards! You're dragging me back in. Been ragging on you for years, and then you throw Mega Man 11 at us.
Yeah, and...
which I'm glad for. Don't get me wrong. It looks like it's going to be a solid game. It's got some new twists on the Mega Man formula. The biggest thing seems to be the double gear system, which is a kind of upgrade, limit break thing. I was reading up on it. It can't be. He's been hanging out with Snake too much. But I was reading up on it. It boosts your speed and power, and it has like a cooldown after. So it's kind of like a limited super mode. It's not something that really has been present in any of the Mega Man games up to now.
Well, Mega Man X.
Well, he's got not a super mode so much as like one super attack. This seems to be like a time thing, like 10 seconds. You get super speed, or everything slows down around you. And it seems to be like a burst thing, finish off the bosses, get through a rough patch. So the game looks good. It looks smooth. It keeps the kind of a lot of the classic Mega Man aesthetic, with upgraded graphics. And I want it to do well. I really do. Yeah. I love Mega Man. It's one of my favorite series. Still sore about Legends 3, and until and unless they deliver it, I always will be, and I will always bring this up.
Yeah.
So. Like, some of you may have seen the Twitter fight I got into when they announced.
Yeah, the one you started right before they announced, and they continued after they announced and gave you shit for it.
Yeah, they had announced, like, the compilation game, which, yeah, great, you're re-releasing the same set of games again, which, okay, fine, some people haven't played them, that's good, but, like, there were people tweeting, Capcom's forgiven. I'm like, no. Re-releasing the same old games is not forgiveness worthy. And I tweeted, I want a new game. Mega Man. I said Mega Man X9 or Legends 3. I didn't say Mega Man 11 because I just was not thinking they were going to go back to that series at any point soon. So I'm glad to see it. I think it looks good. I'm going to get it probably. And yeah, but I still sore point. Let's move on.
So, Devil May Cry 5, a bit of a surprise. It's been a while. The last one I played was Devil May Cry 4. I actually didn't play DMC. I've heard good things about it, but it just...
It's like weird emo teen Dante.
I heard it was good. But
I'm sure it was a good game, but it was like, just from what I saw of it, it was not the Dante that everybody really liked.
Yeah, I don't know. I might finally get around to playing it. Because again, I don't bear any hatred toward it. It's just my interest at the time just wasn't there. But we're continuing on the story, and there's a lot of focus on Nero this time. Let's see. Looks like from some of the footage, he got his demon arm ripped off and had it replaced. He has a prosthetic
demon arm.
Yeah, prosthetic demon arm. Because Capcom can be beautifully weird sometimes.
Did you 3D print one of those or what?
Well, there's this girl just kind of like constantly bragging to this scared as hell police officer about it. See, I made that.
Oh, so he's got himself a. Is it the girl from the last game? Didn't he have a girlfriend?
He did, but she's nothing like her.
Oh, okay.
She was a very pure damsel in distress.
All right. For full disclosure, I've not played a Devil May Cry game since 3, and that one it was a halfway through throw the controller against the wall kind of thing.
You weren't even halfway, dude.
Point is, not my series.
But so I don't know where his girlfriend at. It's probably not all that important to the plot, but he's definitely had a lot of Dante rubbed off on being an arrogant, asshole.
He has that influence on people.
Yeah. And so, we don't really see Dante until toward the end of the trailer where he's on a motorcycle.
He looks old.
Well, he's been growing a beard since the 4th game.
It didn't look like a beard. It looked like a 3-day hangover shadow to me.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past Dante to have one of those moments.
But yeah, I saw the one screenshot I saw of him. He looked kind of like he kind of looked like an old homeless man. Just the one close up of him just did not do him any favors.
Was he on the motorbike?
Yeah, it looked like he had just jumped through a window or a wall or something. He looked like he was having a bad day, or he was going to be the cause of a bad day for somebody else.
So Devil May Cry 3. That's the first one that I beat on normal mode, and. A lot of the big complaints nowadays is long cutscenes, but at that time, for some reason, that game had never bothered me. It was just the right amount of ridiculous.
Yeah, it had a style to it,
and I fell in love with a lot of the footage for the motion capture because the same guys who did the voices actually did the motion capture for that.
Yeah, Capcom does that. I feel like it does that a lot.
Yeah,
especially with that series.
Yeah, and. Doesn't Capcom for some series do with the English version put Japanese subtitles for
I don't know that they still do it, but I know the Resident Evil games, that's how they did it. It was just the American voice acting with Japanese subtitles because they were styling them after American movies. And don't get me started on how cheesy the original Resident Evil.
Oh, those are beautiful.
So, speaking of Resident Evil, it's still on Capcom. The Resident Evil 2 remake, which is kind of following on the heels of the Resident Evil 1 remake that came out way back in the GameCube days. So we're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So this updates the graphics and everything to, modern stuff and the gameplay. It's more of an older over the shoulder shooter, more akin to 4 and 5. And what's interesting to me is, two things. The original Resident Evil actually had 4 ways to play through it. Well, four storylines you could play through. You could play through Leon first, and then Claire's version of Leon's story. Or you could play as Claire first, and then Leon's version of Claire's story. Because it's split up, because early in the game, the first cutscene, they end up in a cop car, they crash, and they each go one direction.
Right.
From, the whichever direction their door was facing. And the cutscene, they had 2 different versions. One where the car hits straight on, and one where the car spins around and hits backward. So that one of them goes straight to the police station front, and one of them goes around the back, and the story played out differently each way. What they're doing for the remake is they're not doing it that way. There's going to be just 2 campaigns, Leon and Claire, that are happening simultaneously. So they're kind of streamlining that. I'm not sure how much I like that. I can kind of understand with the increased graphical stuff. There's probably just not enough room for like 4 distinct sets of like lines and cutscenes. But they're also one thing that did intrigue me. For those of you that don't know, Resident Evil 2, as we got it, was not the original Resident Evil 2. They got pretty far into the development of what came to be known as Resident Evil 1.5. And it was a very different game. Part of it was going to boast that there was going to be like bunches of zombies. There was going to be things like your clothes were going to get damaged. You could upgrade with armor and stuff. There was a lot of things that were going to go into that game, and then they got like 3/4 of the way through it and it just wasn't working.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 4 went through that a couple times before we finally got out.
Resident Evil 4, the original trailer, looked nothing like the final game. So they've gone back for this one, and they're taking some of the concepts from that and some of sort of taking the characters. Like there's going to be an alternate skin for Claire that will be Elza Walker, who was the original female protagonist of Resident Evil 2. She was like a race car driver or motorcycles.
I remember you reading me a bit of the concept for the character. I remember the words "with attitude."
Yeah. This is very much like kind of a trying too hard motorcycle racer, Power Ranger kind of thing. Leon was still Leon, but they switched out Elza for Claire to give it the connection to Chris Redfield from the original game. And they're also taking some character art cues, like in the original concept, Ada had this jacket she was wearing, and she's been shown wearing that into the trailer. Mr. X, the big hulking Terminator-looking tyrant thing, had a hat, so he's got that.
Wait, the tyrant has a hat?
Yeah, he's got like a fedora to go with the trench coat. I'm serious. This is the things that we're picking up on. And some of the environments are taking from that original concept art, too. So it's interesting to see how they're kind of doing this revision of it. And I'm excited to see it. I really liked the remake, Resident Evil 0. I've got a soft spot for old school Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So I like that they're going back with it. And one of the things I've wanted for a long time is, Resident Evil 1 and 2 style zombies with like the original, with the more modern gameplay, because there's a lot you can do with that. You can make Leon Claire much more badass than with the tank controls.
Yeah. So ever do like roundhouse kicks?
Yeah. I'd like to see some sort of that, some more play in how you deal with the zombies than just tank controls, swipe with a knife, shoot them.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I was under the impression that Resident Evil 2 was like the definitive classic Resident Evil.
It is, to an extent that like the original is a classic, but the second one, it's hard to say, because the original was the classic zombie movie where you do not have enough ammo. You are stuck in a house, you have like 6 bullets, and you're saving one of them for yourself.
Yeah.
Because like you are in dire straits that whole time, and it had the kind of cheesy, like the cutscenes were ridiculous, completely ridiculous.
So
especially
fun though,
especially the
so
opening cutscene with actual actors, and it's just this bizarre cheesy thing that it is a classic in its own right. But the second one is kind of where things came together, even though it was much more action oriented, where there might have been like 100 bullets total in the entirety of the first Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 2, you can, if you look everywhere, you can have 100 bullets before you get to the police station 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
It gets it to like a ridiculous degree, to the point where you can and should blast everything, and you will still end with a whole bunch of ammo left over.
Yeah. See, kids, back in the early 90s, video games didn't really have a cinematic budget.
Yeah, they really did not. Although it is interesting that the actress for Claire like stuck around and is the actress for Claire every time she's appeared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Duke Nukem still does his thing, and he was considered like one of the original video game voice actors. Yeah, so there are gems in there. It's just,
I'm just saying it's kind of rare. It's also fun. Little bit of trivia. She's the reason for the Mega Man X5 boss names.
Oh, the voice actress.
Yeah. She was still working at Capcom, and she was like, well, why don't we name them after Guns N' Roses? I think she was dating the guy who was actually doing the translation, so that's how that happened.
I knew someone was. It was a girlfriend. I didn't realize it was specifically her, though.
Yep, that's the story I heard.
So Bethesda's had quite an opening for E3 with Doom Eternal, the sequel to the very awesome Doom 2016.
It never ends. It's corridor after corridor of punching demons.
Basically, it kind of reminds me of God of War, actually, more than typical first-person shooters. Where you kind of like locked in this room and don't come out until all the demons are killed. And the way you're running around, it like cover will basically save you for like a few seconds, but then a demon will come and chase you out of cover.
So it's more of an active shooter kind of thing.
Yeah. And you're rip and tear. Is the name of the game. It's like you really feel more like it feels more like a brawl than like funneling the enemies through a corridor and taking them out that way.
Well, Doom 3 and its kind of survival horror had its merits. I think Doom is still kind of at its best, where you're not locked in a room with the demons. The demons are locked in a room with you,
and it is so fun.
That's kind of what Doom is supposed to be. That archetypal. Okay, get every bullet you can possibly get your hands on. We're going to hell.
Yeah,
and they're running.
Here's a chainsaw. It'll give you free ammo. Don't question it. Just keep killing things. And I love the trailer for it. It's just hell's landscape. A bunch of demons, Skull, and the Doom Slayers just stomps it under his heel, picks up his double-barrel shotgun, and gets right to work.
So it's kind of casting the Doom guy in the role of the Terminators in the opening to the Terminator.
Basically. Yeah. You're trapped in here with me. So yeah, it's a first-person shooter. It's kind of like an homage without actually being one of the old first-person shooters. But it also has a lot of exploring. I do like the weapon upgrades. They give the machine gun, little homing rockets.
Okay, that seems a little overkill. But then again, this is Doom.
It really isn't. It's necessary.
You're fighting demons. Might as well go all out.
And let's see. You have Fallout 76, which is apparently not a whole lot of details are released yet, but apparently it's going to be. The concept is, you're coming out of the vault and every NPC is a player. I think
I've heard of games trying to do that before, and that does not seem sustainable to me. Because everybody wants to be the hero. No one wants to be like the shop runner.
Yeah. So we'll hear more details about that. And then one title I've been waiting for from Bethesda for a little while, Elder Scrolls 6.
Skyrim Part 2.
Yeah, and no release date. Showing some scenery. We see that the title, just in case you're confused, it was something else. And that's it.
Well, it leaves you to speculate then.
We've been speculating, dude. I mean, we've been speculating since we got through everything that Skyrim had to offer,
and the DLC.
And the DLC. So, the game really does leave a lot open. The Thalmor, the Nazi elves that were introduced. I wonder, what fate Skyrim is going to go with canonically.
Well, you got rid of the dragon problem, so.
That's that. But the Civil War, like, which outcome are they going to go with that?
The dragons won.
Well, all right, maybe there just won't be a Skyrim, but
because the whole continent is just on fire.
Well, Alduin's plan was to devour the whole world. So if they actually want to keep the series going, I think he's going to be defeated.
Skyrim's or Elder Scrolls 6 inside Alduin.
Yeah,
just eats
the
you.
sky is just this rib cage. But so
that sounds pretty metal.
Yeah, actually. So there's a lot open, but Bethesda's attitude toward announcing games is don't announce anything until they're a good way into the project, which I actually respect. You're not really going to get a Duke Nukem Forever from them, or where they're like hyping up for a couple years and then it drops. That's a good way to look at it. Just like Nintendo did that for a little while too, where it was like, okay, they haven't announced anything in 3 years.
And then they come to E3. It's like, hey guys, Zelda's coming out next week.
What? Well, they pulled two fast ones last year with the two remakes that we've discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, that said, they said they don't want to work on it at all until they're done with other projects, but I kind of feel like this is a priority.
Elder Scrolls?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of their big ticket series, and I think Skyrim in particular kind of threw them into the big time with it.
Yeah. So yeah, when it's going to be released, really, who knows? I'm hoping within the next couple of years that they've got some headway with it. We really don't know.
All right, and now with more things we don't know. Now, I guess got to cut it short this time because only so much studio time.
Yep.
So this has been the C-Team. I'm Mike Curley.
And this is Frank Curley. So, I seem to be missing a page.
Turn it over.
Oh, is that what happened? I thought you cut out like this. Okay, then.
Moving on.